All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our March 25th, 2026 LEFF Board meeting and go ahead and call it to order and start off by taking a moment of silence to remember our fallen brothers and sisters. All right. Thank you. Online, who do we have? Just hey, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Everybody, huh? All right. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. Today is indeed a celebration to honor our departing executive director, Steve Nelson. It's been an honor to work with you, and we've got Jacob sitting right here, ready to go. And we have a very short agenda for today, so we will go ahead and jump into it. It's kind of treating like a legislative wrap-up. Is that correct?
Yes, just with session having ended this month. Yeah, just going to go over, start with going over a legislative session review.
Get her going.
Okay. Start with the board endorsed bill that passed this session. So House Bill 2441, medical insurance premium reimbursements for surviving spouses of line of duty death. So just a reminder, this bill closed two gaps in coverage that were brought to the board's attention from letters that came from surviving spouses. The first one had to do with Medicare reimbursements. So once surviving spouses became Medicare eligible, they went from being fully reimbursed for their medical insurance premiums to being partially reimbursed because the law did not allow them to be reimbursed for the Medicare reimbursement. So this changed that. And it is prospective only. And then the second gap in coverage that this bill dealt with was for medical insurance premiums from the time from when a member died to their death being determined to be line of duty. Typically, that took at least a couple months. In some instances, it took up to a year or longer. And so those spouses were not eligible for reimbursement for that time period. And so this takes care of that, makes them eligible. Also, they're currently only eligible for reimbursements from PEB. And this would be kind of a catch-22 to hold them to only being eligible for PEB reimbursements because they're not actually eligible until they are found to be in line of duty death. And so this would allow them to be reimbursed for the medical insurance that they have, typically through the employer. And so this part of the bill will be retroactive. And so we'll be partnering with Department of Retirement Systems on how to reach out to these surviving spouses, determine what paperwork they need to submit to DRS to be reimbursed retroactively for those premiums.
How far back will we go?
Oh, I don't don't have that in front of me. It goes back to when that original legislation passed, and it was identified in the bill the exact time. So it goes back to when the board first passed the original bill making surviving spouses eligible for medical insurance reimbursements. I'm just blanking on the exact date of it right now. Oh, and there's a nice picture of all of us at the bill signing. Okay, so now to the bill that the board endorsed bill that did not pass. So the board endorsed a bill to add standby pay to the definition of basic salary. The Senate version of the bill received a hearing in Senate Ways and Means, however, did not make it past that, and the House bill did not receive a hearing in House Appropriations. I did want to just highlight that when we last left off in December before endorsing this bill, we had a price range from the actuaries of what the bill might cost. And we knew that once they had to do a fiscal note, we'd get a more specific cost. And so did just want to let you know that ended up being at 3 basis points, which was towards the lower end of the range that the actuaries had given us. I think they'd given us from 2 to 5 basis points. And my understanding is the cost is what prevented this bill from moving forward this year. And so we'll have this bill as an option for the board to consider again this year.
Any questions? I'll ask the dumb question, the elephant in the room. With the budget that they're going to be looking at for 27, 29, actually 27, 31, is that correct, Senator? Is that they do that 4 years? The likelihood of having this bill also moving forward? I'm just being real. Slim to none.
Looking over the senator here, if he wants to, yeah. Yeah, at this point, I don't know about the economic forecast, and if the budget, next budget cycle is looking better. I haven't heard, any great news about the upcoming economic forecast.
Go ahead, Senator.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. The fact is assigned directly to a fiscal committee, whether it's appropriate or Ways and Means on that, is a tell all by itself. If we could get this back in front of a policy committee, and have it referred to a money committee on that, the odds of this getting traction are a little bit better at that point. I'm not sure that there are many things that had a fiscal note that did get traction.
Yeah.
This year, and it's great to hear that this is a talking point or a justification for this not happening. But sometimes that's not the whole story. There is a bit more to that. Actually, between the chambers specifically, not just on one side or the other this year. So okay. That being said,
okay. Other questions? I see a hand. Who is it?
Wolf.
Well, go ahead.
Yes,
Sorry.
well, just a quick observation. It'll be a new bill next year. It won't be the same bill. And it'll be a new legislature next year. And it'll be a biennial year where it would be more normal for the legislature to consider things that involve spending. So I guess, as my dad used to say, a dry line catches no fish. So why would we self-censor ourselves at this point at all? It's the right thing to do. Put the bill out there. Keep it going.
Oh, I don't disagree with you. I just want kind of a realistic approach. It's difficult. It really is. So another hand up.
I think Wolf accidentally placed his hand up.
All right.
and Mr. Chair, just to follow up on that, and very often it's a tactic to have a topic that's introduced in an off cycle, knowing full well that it's not going to go anywhere specifically, so that when it does come up, it's not de novo,
right.
Something that's lost in the brush along with everything else. So not a bad idea.
Okay, and then I got a assist from Tammy here that the retroactive part, the date on that was back to 2010.
Good.
Thank you.
That's going to take a little work.
Yes. Okay, and then we have also wanted to talk about some legislation impacting LEOFF 2 that did pass. These were not LEOFF 2 endorsed bills. There were two DRS request bills that DRS had talked to the board about that they were successful in getting passed this year. One was the lump sum in lieu of a monthly benefit. This does not impact a lot of LEOFF members, but it did impact all the pension plans, and I believe there were a lot more PERS members impacted by it. It just raised the threshold, had not been raised for a very long time, of a minimum monthly pension that DRS can convert to a lump sum payment. So if your pension was less than $50 a month, you could just convert that to a one-time lump sum payment. And so this increases that to $250 and then has it receive a, I don't know if COLA is the right word, but an annual increase. So it moves up with over time. And then they also passed 5834 expenses from the retirement trust. And so this had been included in the last budget, but they were seeking to make it permanent where they would be able to spend additional trust funds on additional work to protect the trust fund from losses. And so it included things like cybersecurity and audits. And then this one was the big bill of session, but I did want to just highlight that it did include a section impacting the LEOFF 2 statutes. I want to thank Tim for catching this and bringing it to my attention. That so Senate Bill 6346 establishing a tax on millionaires, that it did include a section for left two benefits identifying that they are not exempt from this tax. So if someone, if their income qualifies to be taxed under that bill, it would include their left two benefits. And that was for all of the pension plans, not just left two. Okay. And then House Bill 2034, left one termination. So go over there were some minor changes to this bill, I believe, since we last spoke. Go over kind of the big picture of what the bill did again. So it terminates Left Plan 1 and then creates the restated left system in 2029, June 2029, with identical pension benefits for Left 1 members. It funds the newly created restated left system with Left Plan 1 assets at 110%. And so looking at the fiscal note, the current value of Left 1 is around $7 billion, or at least at the time of the actual fiscal note, it was at $7 billion. And it would, at 110%, it would retain $3.8 billion. And then it would deposit the remaining $3.5 billion into the pension surplus holding account, which then could be transferred to the state general fund at a later time. So this was a change from last time I spoke to the board about it. Previously, it was going to take about around $500 million and move that into a climate fund. That was amended, and so now it all just goes into this pension surplus holding account. And the bill also directed the Select Committee on Pension Policy to complete 2 studies. And so this was a change from when I last spoke to the board. Previously, the bill had been amended to have the Left 2 board take over the governance over the restated left system. And so that was changed into being a study, and it was put with the Select Committee on Pension Policy. And my understanding of why is because the Select Committee currently is in charge of governance for Left 1. So they will be in charge of or be responsible for completing this study. However, the bill did specifically require or say that the Left 2 board would provide assistance as requested by Select Committee. So I'll be reaching out to the Select Committee staff like we always do during the interim and checking in on this and attending the meetings and seeing how we can help them out with this study. Also required a second study that was an evaluation of options for the state to assume responsibility of pension board administration and associated financial liabilities. And so this was regarding sorry, I realized I didn't word that correctly on the slide. So the Select Committee is also going to be doing a study of the Left 1 medical boards and reporting back to the legislature on that. And so the time period for them to complete these studies is they're actually due in December 31st, 2028. So it's going to be a couple of years for them to complete those studies. And just to bring it back to that top bullet point, that this bill would be effective in 2029. But before then, Department of Retirement Systems is going to be working to submit this proposal or this bill to the IRS and to seek approval from the IRS before it's implemented. So any questions on that bill?
Senator, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Robinson, Chair of Operating Budget in the Senate Committee on Ways and Means, was confused about this. And I talked to her quite a bit about it, and I don't think she understood until after a long conversation what the dissimilarities were between the Left 1 SCPP governance and the authorities and the responsibilities that we have for the left board here. Once explained, I think the wording is maybe a little bit awkward here on that, because she's trying to address what she saw as inconsistencies there and asked us to sort it out between SCPP, and also had past Executive Director Nelson involved in this conversation with you did talk to Senator Robinson on this, I assume, yeah, and explain what some of those differences are so that she has some context here. This is nothing more than that original idea that was pure about we'll just cancel this and drop everything on left two, that nobody understood, what the consequences of that were. So this is kind of a punt, kick it into the and kick can down the road, trying to figure out what we should do, since our original idea was not a good idea.
Thank you for that. Do you, what's that? Miguel, again, go ahead.
You see, I actually raised my hand this time.
That's why I called on you. I was rare.
I know. Okay, so I have a couple of issues. First of all, by them we got until 2029, and I understand it's left one money, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, with the funding level being created to be restated at 110%, what stops the legislature from doing the same thing that left two down the road? If we don't get some clarification on some of the things they're trying to do in left one of the things I think that I see is that are they talking about giving any reimbursement back to the local governments from the left one pension fund for contributions that the employees made, which we can all say they've used up all their money if they've been there long enough, but also the employer still with left one still has other the employee made contributions as well as the employer to the plan, and there should be some type of reimbursement to the entities that had left one employees that they paid contributions on years ago that they're now going in and taking away from. And once again, I'll keep on referring back to the 25 years that we were working on Plan 2 improvements, that all we ever heard was we're not going to make any improvements to left 2 due to the fact that the Plan 1 almost bankrupted the state. Yet now the state has taken about a $3.5 billion drawback from a pension plan. That money was contributed to a pension plan, not to the general fund or anything else. So are we as left two got any concerns what they did to left one, that they could actually come down and do it to left two down the road? And I know future legislators, you cannot hold to any type of rules, but sometimes maybe if we get out in front of this thing in the next 4 years, that we could hopefully make sure that Plan 2 is protected better than what Plan 1 was at the end.
Okay, this Jacob, I'll try to respond to some of that. So first, the question about the whether the legislature is going to consider the amount that members paid into Left 1 and employers paid into Left 1. There was a lot of discussion at the committee hearings on that and on the floor. I would say that there seemed to be more interest in what the employers had paid in, and taking a look at those local pension boards, medical boards, the local medical boards under Left 1, and seeing if there was what the legislature could do to assist with that. And so that was part of what is leading to that study that the select committee will be doing. My gauge on it was there seemed to be less interest in providing an additional benefit enhancement to Left 1 retirees. There was discussion of the previous benefit enhancement that they had received when at the same time that Left 2. We passed our benefit enhancement. And then as far as, concern about the legislature coming after Left 2 funds in the future, I think the board has tried to set itself up with the funding policy to prevent the funding status of the plan from getting too high, that as the plan gets above 105%, 110%, that we begin to lower the amount of contributions coming in. Is one way to help prevent the legislature from seeing the plan begin to reach a higher and higher level of funding and to want to come after that money. But it definitely is something for us to be aware of. Not saying we shouldn't be concerned about it and think about that when we develop future funding methods and policies. And then also a reason to keep an eye on what the IRS comes back and says. And then there have already been announcements from at least from one law firm that they will be filing a lawsuit on this. And so we'll be following that closely, and I'm sure learn a lot about how the state is going to look at this type of thing in the future.
Okay. Thanks, Jacob. I really appreciate all that. I mean, I just want to make sure that we don't, I don't want us to get caught sitting on our hands on this, because they've just proven that they can go in. First of all the years of the reason why we couldn't improve left 2, once we finally got some improvements going, somehow left 1 has got billions and billions of dollars that the state would like to get their hands on. And I understand, due to some situations that they've got, I don't mind sharing some of that, whether it would be mine or theirs. But at the same time, I don't want them to think that there's an open pocketbook that anytime they want, they can reach in and start grabbing money. So I think we'll be working on that. And Jacob, thanks for your explanation. It really helps me a little bit to move forward on this. So thanks.
No problem.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Wolf. I might tag in just a bit on what Pat just asked about and what Jacob described. I think it's important to keep a distinction between plan closure, which happened in 1977, versus the termination and restatement that's happening now. I think for the legislature to conduct itself the same way with left 2 as it is now doing with left 1, we would have to presume a planned closure of left 2 so that we would no longer be running an open and operating pension system. This is an open and operating pension system, and the left 2 board, as we know, governs that system and appropriately and thoughtfully maintains funding levels that balance costs on an ongoing basis to members and employers against solvency and stability and funding stability of the plan. I think we do an exemplary job of that. So do a lot of other people. So there isn't a basis to begin with to close left 2. You'd have to then skip ahead about 50 years for left 2 to find itself in the same position as left 1. If the action were to be to close left 2, because you wouldn't see surpluses until quite a number of years out, as you're now seeing in left 1. So again, the distinction for me goes back to dealing after the fact with a closed plan that's been closed since 1977 compared with our status with left 2 as an open and operating plan. Fundamentally different things. It runs fundamentally to the problem we've had with melding the governance. What are we governing in looking after things in left 1? Other than the left 1, left 2 sound alike. One is a closed plan with a run out. The other is an open and operating plan. Just fundamentally different tasks. Baseball, football, as we talked about before. So I don't think just legally and technically, mechanically, operationally, and politically, there's much of any risk of finding left 2 in the same position as the legislature is now acting relative to left 1. I'd also go back to say, what happens to any residual funds left over when the last person is no longer receiving a pension payment from left 1 was contemplated when left 1 was closed. So this isn't a new thing. This is a thing that changes the timing of when those surplus funds are taken, but it doesn't change the fact that they were going to come back to the state at the end. It is what it is. And from an employer perspective, I do think the most important nexus between this action of the legislature and us as employers is to really take a hard look at the local government assuming responsibility and continued responsibility for pension board administration and the financial liabilities associated with paying for healthcare at the local level. That's going to get harder and harder to deal with and to do as those numbers change over time. And I think aggregating that together and having the state assume that responsibility would make a good deal of sense to me. And is a very useful thing, and is a place where local governments can get some relief of future costs associated with paying out those benefits, as compared to aggregating that together and putting that into a single place and a single fund funded from the pension surplus holding account that's now contemplated to be set aside as this goes forward.
Thank you, Wolf. Were there any other comments or questions?
Daryl, go ahead.
Oh,
Jacob, could you just restate what our responsibility or what our part of this is? I know that we're going to participate in the study. Exactly what? Are we going to look towards offering for governance, or what is our role in that? Where does that look like?
yes. So that's the part of the study that we're not the. So there's two studies. The study that we're identified as needing to assist the select committee on is the governance part of it, of whether and it specifically said whether that the study was required to at least consider whether the governance should be with the LEOFF 2 board or the select committee on pension policy, or there could be some other decision made too. But yeah, that was the only requirement for the LEOFF 2 board.
Maybe just to dig a little deeper, is there going to be work that has to be done on behalf of our board, or is that going to be at administrative level?
Don't know yet. I think it'll be at the administrative level, but I will want to bring whatever, updates to the board on the work of the select committee. Haven't had a chance to meet with select committee staff yet, and begin to have those discussions. But yeah, like I said, we'll be attending select committee meetings, keeping an eye on it, and updating the board on what's going on.
Good, Daryl. Okay. And I would encourage everyone to take a look at the select committee, their agenda as far as their timelines, when their meetings are. They're all virtual, or you can do them online as well as attend in person. They have all the information posted ahead of time. They'll have a recap afterwards with all the information in the minutes available as well to follow up on. And then Jacob will work with our team, our board, to make sure that we have all the same information. So appreciate your work.
Okay. Operating budget. Yeah, good news on this one. Fully funds the contribution rates adopted by the board, and also funded the LEOFF 2 agency budget. Also discussed this previously, but it did end up in the final budget that the LEOFF 2 board was given a study of DNR wildland firefighters. I have more on the next slide, more detail on that study. So this was came out of a bill that ended up not passing, but the LEOFF 2 board will be responsible for completing a study of enrolling DNR firefighters in LEOFF 2. So some of the questions that came up, so there was a Senate bill and a House bill. House bill did not receive a hearing. Senate bill did, and there were questions about the data as far as how many firefighters are DNR, how many of them are full-time, what should the definition of full-time be? Should it be different for these firefighters than the firefighters currently in LEOFF? So just a lot of questions came up immediately. And so this will be an opportunity for the board to assist the legislature with studying those issues. The bill required DNR, DRS, OSA to provide assistance to us. So we'll begin working immediately with them on getting data. So we'll be reaching out to Mitch over there to figure out what data OSA needs to start determining what the cost would be, and working with DRS also on identifying any issues with the definition of firefighter, and yeah, kind of reviewing these positions. Also, the study required that the board solicit and consider stakeholder input as part of its deliberations. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to start working on this yet, but this was similar to what we did with the tribal law enforcement study, where we reached out to the tribes and did a survey. So I imagine we'll do something similar here, but it'll be easier working. Hopefully, hopefully it'll be easier. We'll just be working with one employer. And then that study will be due to the legislature January 1st next year. So any questions on that? Okay. And then I did just want to highlight some other Left 2 legislation that ended up not passing this session. These were not board bills, but just bills that came up that would have impacted Left 2. Not going to go into detail about them, but we had 2482 that would have allowed retired Left 2 members to serve as chiefs of police in small police departments while continuing to receive their Left 2 pension. So they would have not been earning additional service credit in LEOFF or making contributions. They would have been able to continue to receive their Left 2 pension and then work in these positions. There was House Bill 2569 that had to do with the tiered multiplier and lump sum benefits in Left 2. It would have moved the date where members qualified for the tiered multiplier. It would have moved that back, so additional members would have qualified for that choice between the tiered multiplier and lump sum. And neither of those bills, I believe, if I remember correctly, neither of them received hearings. And then we had 2414 and its companion 6073. Already talked about that. That was the underlying bill that had the DNR bill that led to the study. And then there was also another bill, 1571, and its companion 6180, that would have removed certain qualifiers for the presumption of occupational disease for heart problems for firefighters and law enforcement officers. This would have had an impact on Left 2. There was an actuarial fiscal note done, and it would have increased the cost by increasing the number of firefighters and law enforcement officers that qualified for disability benefits. So really just bring those ones to your attention as we next month will start to work on interim planning and considering different proposals to study this year. So that is it for the ledge update.
Any final questions before we jump into the admin update? All right, Jacob.
Okay. So admin update. We have Steve's retirement event today starting at 4:30.
Look at that smile.
Yeah, for those online, you can't see Steve with his balloon. We've got Steve sitting with a balloon next to him, ready to part, or yeah, ready for his retirement event. Oh yeah, in a Hawaiian shirt, Pat. Okay, and then also I did send an email to everyone, but excited to announce that I have filled my position. So our new senior research and policy manager will start next week, next Wednesday. And so his name's Dave Dunlap. He is currently works for the Office of Administrative Hearings as an administrative law judge. He's a senior administrative law judge. He's been there for over 10 years. Currently supervises 7 other administrative law judges. Was really excited that he was interested in the position and that we've got him coming on. I'm excited for everyone to get to meet him next month. We have a pretty quick turnaround for the next board meeting, so I don't think I'll be sticking him with any presentations in like his second or third week with the board, but look forward to introducing him to everyone. And then the next board meeting will be held on April 15th. And one more slide. And then just a quick update on stakeholder outreach. We've got Tammy going around the state doing presentations this coming month. So she'll be co-hosting a Navigating Disabilities webinar with DRS on March 30th. And we have a little news link article with a link to sign up for that on our website. and excited about that. I'm excited to try to find more opportunities to partner with DRS on things like this, on trainings, developing trainings, doing these live trainings. Yeah, excited that that's happening. And then also Tammy will be presenting at the Seattle Fire Spring Financial Wellness Seminar on April 22nd and 23rd. And then me and Tammy will be going to Wenatchee I'm doing a presentation at the Council of Firefighters Educational Conference later in April. And then I think early May, I'll be giving a presentation at the WACOPS Educational Conference too. So that's it for upcoming stakeholder outreach events.
I'm real quick on that question on the navigating class. It's a webinar. Is that going to be recorded and saved on DRS? It's not. Okay. Bummer. Okay. Right.
Okay.
All right. Then finally, we as a board, I got to make sure I get my little cheat sheet that you made for me. No. Well, anyways, I'll wing it. Oh, there it is.
I steal it.
There we go. Thank you. The LEOFF board welcomes public comment in advance of all meetings and has posted instructions on its website for the submission of written comments. Staff received no comments today in advance of today's meeting for distribution to the board. So if anybody has a comment after today, please follow those instructions. Our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, April 15th, as Jacob mentioned, quick turnaround for everyone. We will be at 9:30 and we will be starting a new era with Jacob at the helm. And Steve, last meeting today with you. I know that you have a couple more days to finish your work, but I want to say thank you. You've been not only a good friend to all of us, but a mentor. The father figure, as you said sometimes, but deeply missed. So yeah. Yeah. All right. We will be, motion to adjourn. Second. All right. Motion's been made and second adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. All right.
Aye.